Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about my climb on Mount Rainier. You can see this is me. I'm on Mount Rainier, and yes, that's real weight, and it is difficult. So I wanted to guide some of you if you're thinking of climbing. How do you start? Where do you want to go? What do you do? What not to do? And just benefit from my experience. So the most important question is for me is like, why would you want to climb? And like I'd share like for me what my story is. So like I've always loved K2. It is actually the second highest mountain in the world, but it's considered the most difficult mountain to actually climb. And that's always been my dream to climb the K2, the Nanga Parbat, the Gasherbrum. Like these are very, very difficult mountains to climb. Of course, the most popular mountain in the world is the Everest. And much as I don't like saying this, but Everest is amateur hour. Yep, I said it. So it's amateur hour. Most of the people who are climbing it now, they're like tourists, like who pay for the Sherpas to carry them or their weight up, and the consequences of that is environmental damage. Like a mountain can only sustain as much. Like there's no garbage service. There's no you have to carry your own weight, and when you're not doing it, someone else is doing it for you. So I would encourage, just as to be as transparent as I can, to if you're thinking of just being sport tourism, take care of the planet. Like you're not going to get another one. Don't do it. Like if you want to climb properly. Whatever you're taking up, bring it back yourself. It honors you, it honors the mountain, it honors the people who live there, and that is their home. So with that message out, I'd start by K2 is difficult, but when I tried Rainier, I'd been living in Seattle, so I didn't have access to K2, and like that was my reason, like logistics. I was working in a tech company, and I didn't actually have that much time to actually just take off for a few months and just pause everything and go climb a mountain. So I I selected Rainier. It's a difficult mountain. It matched what my goals were. The mountains I want to climb are glacier mountains. Like they have glacier, and Rainier has Ingram Glacier, so it matched that. It's a difficult mountain to do. There's danger on it, and yes, I'm attracted to danger. Was attracted to danger, probably still there. So the threat of avalanches very real there. They happen, not as much because of the very good training by the guides and very intelligent, but the danger is there. And part of mountaineering is the risk that we are taking to experience something that's magical. So I chose avalanche, glacier mountain. You have to be very very fit. So like it was, even in terms of my fitness, mental fitness, your heart. It is actually something that's difficult, and that's why one of the main reasons that I chose to do Rainier. And so I selected Rainier, and then the thing is, okay, how do you actually go there? So for those who don't know, when you actually go on a mountain, you actually have to get some permits, because these mountains are usually in a national park or they're managed by the government. In Nepal, it would be the government of Nepal issues permits for Everest. In Pakistan, it would be the government of Pakistan. In America, National Park Service. There's you have to do a little bit of research of okay, who actually issues a permit. So that's one of the things I did. And because Rainier is a glacier mountain with like some depths on it, you actually have to get a training on the mountain. You have to get training on glacier travel. You have to get training on rescuing yourself, which is you have a ice axe, and when you start sliding, you have to bury yourself in the snow and make sure you arrest your your fall down the mountain. So those are essential skills. Those are not something that you can just do once and be like, oh, okay, I watched a YouTube video, I'm good. So like I needed to do those trainings, and I'll give more detail later, but just as an overview. So there are some, you have to get training at a at a training place before you can actually start the climb, or and so that's the first step actually. One of the other things is, which may seem obvious to people who do it, but it's not actually that obvious, and which is that the air in the mountain is much thinner, and it's actually much thinner than what people think as, oh, it's not a big deal. Like if you've ever been to Colorado, or if you've ever been to Mexico City, you feel yourself like breathless. So that's not just you feeling it, it's actually the concentration of air on a mountain is much less than if it's in a city. So you have to get used to it, and you have to get used to it, plus you're exerting much more than you would be on a, like, let's say even in the gym, or if you're doing CrossFit or HIIT or one of these difficult exercises. As you can see, like the grade that you're getting is 30 degrees, 40 degrees. It's colder, it's steeper, air is thinner. So all of these factors multiply the difficulty level by much more. So so when I selected my mountain, Mount Rainier, I actually spent months, like 3 months, 4 months, just building up my cardio, my strength, because that backpack that you see has like 40 pounds of gear, essential gear. There's not one thing extra in it. So you have to train yourself to carry 40-50 pounds of weight up 30-40 degree steepness on little sleep, and like it's difficult, and thinner air, like I said. So I spent, before this picture was taken, like I spent like 3 months just training myself, like running with weights, and I can give an exact program and think those out. But you have to build up your stamina, you have to build up your lungs, you have to build up your breathing, and most importantly, you're actually building up that one muscle that's most difficult to actually build. It's just like it's an invisible muscle. Anyone want to guess what I'm going to say next? Willpower, discipline, like the discipline of not giving up, but not putting yourself in danger too. So that muscle, when things get really difficult, and you're like, okay, why am I doing this again? It's so cold. Like, is it really worth it? So that muscle actually gets built up when you're training yourself week over week, and you're pushing yourself just beyond what you thought you couldn't do. So like taking the uncomfortable step to be outside your comfort zone. Do that for 2-3 months, and then like you're ready to actually do the climb. That actually I would say is the most difficult thing that like a person, a mountaineer, should internalize, that like being able to push yourself beyond your comfort zone safely. Because when you push yourself outside your bound, you're growing, but also you're not putting yourself and other people at danger. Like if you may have heard stories of Sherpas rescuing climbers, and this is not to fault or guilt anyone who's thinking of a climb, but when you push yourself unnecessarily and you've not trained yourself, like someone else has to actually put their life in danger to rescue you. This is true for like the Sherpas, this is true for national park rescue, the helicopter crews. You may have heard of a story recently in Pakistan. Those were students, but still, like people have to put their lives at danger to save your life. So you don't want that. You're great people, right? I know that. Everyone's a great person here. So yeah, so when you're able to push yourself, fitness, mental health, mental stamina, emotional health, being able to push yourself to be, okay, yes, I can do the climb, one breath after another, one step after another, then you can do these climbs. So that's really the most important thing. The other things are also important, like having a plan, like starting early. Like I started training 3 months early, which is I would say a minimum if you want to do a difficult mountain, and you're planning to actually gain everything internally and externally in terms of what you will do. So now on to, okay, the Mount Rainier. So cardio is essential, equipment is essential. You may see very specialized gear that I'm carrying here. I have crampons on my feet. The crampons or the nail type things that the mountaineers wear on their shoes. I'm just making it like, so people know what they look like. They're like nails that help you grip when you're going up a mountain, ice mountain especially. So ice axes, like layers of clothing, glasses because the UV rays, they blind you if you're not wearing some eye protection, sunscreen because the sun without protection, it will burn your skin off, especially if you're not used to it. So that equipment is essential. I bought mine new, but like now there's so many choices in terms of getting used gear, and used gear, as long as it's safe and you know what you're doing, used gear is as good as new gear. And some of the best climbers in the world, they actually used old gear, so it's not terrible. And I would actually encourage, if you're on a budget, like throw your ego out the window, get some used gear. And yeah, that's actually really great advice in general. So I got the equipment, I did the training, and then the first step to actually starting the climb is you go on a sort of like a 3-day boot camp, and the first 2 days are actually an instructor, an experienced mountain guide. They'll teach you these skills about how do you move in a column, like you're moving when you move on a mountain. You're actually like 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, they're tied to each other through a rope, so that those are your rope partners. So how do you like climb in sync so that you're not actually leading up to, not too close, not too far? How do you move in unison? Because this is a very important safety, and that's something you have to practice over a few days. The other things that I talked about, rescuing yourself if there's an avalanche or snowfall, or you fall, you slip, like how do you arrest self-arresting? That's a skill that needs to be learned. Then of course breathing, like it's something that because you've been doing cardio for 3 months or so, it's something that you learn. But when you get to the cold air, it does hit you a little bit. So that breathing is essential. So the 3-day, I was there just before the climb. This is what I was training on, and I'll post pictures of it here. So training for 3 days to train yourself to self-arrest, climb safely. If one person falls on remember the line I was talking about, is one person falls, like what do the other people do? Take a guess. Yes, everyone has to do it so that they catch that person. Otherwise, this person is just going to pull everyone down. So these are things that the mountain guide is looking at, and they're like, oh, they'll teach you. They'll ask one person to fall, then the other people practice. It's something you have to do a few times, and at the end of the training, 2-day training, 3-day training, the mountain guides will say, okay, these people pass, and now we can take them up the mountain. And when they're saying like we can take them up the mountain, you're carrying your own weight, which is how I encourage people to do it. So they're helping you, but they're not carrying your weight or anything. So in my case, like on the 3rd day of the climb, we trained at near Mount Rainier, and then we go up to Mount Rainier, and this is a full day process, and that it's laid out to you that okay, first day you're going to climb 12 hours, 14 hours, get to Camp Muir, and once you get to Camp Muir, it's like that's near the summit, but it's not quite the summit, and you get to Camp Muir, which is like 10,000 feet or so, around that much, and from there you actually go to the summit of Mount Rainier. So they'll say, okay, first day we're going to climb this much, you need to sleep, you actually get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then you go up to the summit. So when we started, like our group starts out in the morning. You start out in the morning because the snow is firm, safety, the sun has not hit, so if the snow is firm, packed, like if you're passing through an area that has avalanche danger, like it's much safer to pass through those. So the first day climb was 10 hours or so of constant climbing, with a few breaks, and like you get to Camp Muir, which is like it's like a it's it's like some houses made of rocks, like a sleeping cabin type situation, and that's where you reach at like evening, night, and overnight you spend there. I mean, that's what I did, and my group did. So like the first day, 10-12 hours of climbing, and then you get like a 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and again like the next day. So this is like the first day of the actual climb. You get to Camp Muir, you sleep for 4 or 5 hours, you eat a little bit, and there's no restaurants there, so you carry frozen food and then you put boiling water in. So next day we woke up at 3 o'clock actually at night, or in the morning actually. And the reason you wake up early is again safety, because in the morning, at night, the snow is packed. It's much safer. It will hold the weight. The danger of avalanche is much lower in snow than in the sun. So we started at 3 o'clock, and like you'll see this picture that I post, that's actually the morning sun. So it's not evening, it's like literally when the sun rises. And let me tell you, there's no comparing a sunrise seeing on a mountain. Like amazing. You see the cloud like this, and the sun will come up, and you're like, okay, this is life. This is amazing. That's what you go on a mountain for. That experience, unbelievable. Sitting on a beach and seeing the sunrise, amazing. Imagine how it is like when you're on the mountain, you see the cloud cover, and then you see the sun. It's like, that's what life is about, baby. So I saw that with my own eyes, and it's like, it's one of those things that you really have to experience for yourself to appreciate it. And like for those who want to do it safely, but it's really worth it. So on my climb, I experienced that, and then so that's what the climb is for. Like, of course, people will say, "Oh, this is the photo." I don't think it's a photo. I think this is an experience. It's like when you go to school, you could say, "Oh, I'm going to school because I got a degree," or you could say, like, if you're a person like me, I'm like, oh, the journey, the trials, the successes, and like that magic moment that you remember. That's what the climbing is for. So we climb up and see that magic moment. You experience it for yourself. It stays with you for life. So I did that. I'm so happy I did. And of course, like when you're coming down the mountain, you have that sweetness of having experienced something, and you're like, okay, I did something that's really beautiful, and that was my magic moment. So mountaineering creates these magic moments. It creates and like really that's really what it's about. Like, of course I could tell you about crampons and ice axes, but that's just like equipment. They don't have life. The life actually that you experience on a mountain climbing is actually inside you. It's like, it's here. So that's what it's about. And so I hope you do it. And like I'm gonna post the training photos, and like if you have any questions, like you can research, you can ask me. I'd be happy to answer. And but I would say, like, again, like I talked for quite a while, and I'd really like to say, like, sometimes when you look at a mountaineering magazine, or you look at like a website that's selling a tour, you're like, okay, what is this about? So I would say it's actually about your self-development, having a magic moment that will be special for you, that will stay for you, and that's really what it's about. It's actually it makes you a better person. It seems external, but it's actually really internal, and the people around you and you yourself will benefit so much from climbing and mountaineering. So good luck on your mountaineering journey. I hope you enjoy, and of course, like, I am multi-talented, I say, jack of all trades. So I do mountaineering, I do calligraphy, I do perfume. I'm like I do perfumes, I do martial arts, I do arts itself, and I'm also a CEO of a self-driving company. So I hope you come back, like hear more from me, enjoy what I have to say, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you come back and enjoy. Bye.